Hi everyone. This month, 5 years ago, I uploaded my first video on YouTube and created this YouTube channel. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't have the right equipment. I still don't really. I didn't have a proper microphone or camera or anything. And I definitely didn't think that 120 videos later I would still be here. But I had an idea that museum interpretation and storytelling mattered, and that maybe someone out there would be interested. And I think I also started this up because I felt there wasn't a lot of data or literature, publications, or even case studies around that focused much on how we tell stories in museums. And that was something I was really passionate about. This was back in 2014 when I finished my PhD around the subject, and I actually really struggled finding data and material that I felt I could use in research. Of course, there were some publications and the case studies around, but there weren't actually that much around. So I'm really happy that the field seems to have really grown a lot just in the past sort of 10-15 years. But I started this channel during the COVID lockdowns, like so many others who suddenly found themselves working from home and trying to stay connected to their work and to their ideas. Yes, at first it felt very odd and strange talking into a camera, and it still sometimes does. But I knew I wanted to share some of the things I had learned in my work and in my research. I think in everything from whether we're talking museum interpretation or more sort of exhibition design or whatever, there's so many different aspects and perspectives to how we tell stories and how we create narratives. I didn't really expect to build a huge audience, but I just wanted to make something that could be useful and that could potentially spark some reflection in people. And I think one of the things I hear the most from people who are maybe thinking about starting their own channel or putting themselves out there is something like, oh, I don't really feel like I have anything to say, or I wouldn't know where to begin, and so on. And I completely understand that because I felt that myself. But I think if there's one thing I've learned over the past 5 years, it is that if you care about something and you're willing to explore it with honesty and curiosity, then you do have something to say, and then you do have something to share. And yes, you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, plenty of them. And sometimes in the editing, because I certainly wasn't very good at that at first. I didn't know anything about it. I just found an editing program on my laptop and tried to fiddle around with that a little bit. And sometimes in the way you present things, sometimes in phrasing, and yes, sometimes in language too. English is not my first language. So I make a lot of mistakes there. And mostly I notice it during the editing when I listen to myself once again. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I've learned that that's okay. As long as you can make yourself understood, what matters the most is the content and the message that you're trying to convey and the connection that you're trying to make. So I guess if there really is a message, it's don't wait until you think things are perfect, because they're not ever going to be. Just start and you'll figure it out along the way. And you will get better and better. You are going to cringe when you watch yourself in your first videos, and that's perfectly okay. That's how it's meant to be. You're meant to develop, you're meant to learn, you're meant to get better. Maybe you also figure out how to use your equipment better, that kind of thing. That's all part of the learning curve, really, but you don't know that until you begin. So just begin if you have something to say. This has always been a niche channel, and so I never expected it to blow up in any way. That's not what niche channels do generally. But yet over time, I've received some really beautiful and very kind messages from museum professionals and colleagues and students and educators, and sometimes even from people completely outside the sector who found something meaningful or useful to them. And it made me realize that you never really know who you end up reaching. You even if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, your work might still land somewhere where it's needed or where it can be useful. And if I think about it myself, the way I use YouTube videos, especially learning videos, or videos that might be useful in professional connections, it's very much in those tiny little details that a new idea suddenly pops up, that oh, I like that approach, or oh, I like the way of phrasing that, and then suddenly you start thinking about your field or your project or whatever in a completely new way. So sometimes it's in those tiny little details where, you know, the most exciting things pops up. So 5 years in, I'm definitely not the one to go to for like YouTube growth hacks or big milestones or tips on how to do YouTube videos. But I am here to say that if there's something you want to share, then do it. If you have something you're passionate about, or something that you feel this is a discussion we should have, and maybe this would be a good place to do it, then do it. Get started, even if it's quiet, even if it's imperfect, and it probably will be, in my case forever, even if it takes you 5 years to figure it out, and I gotta say I still haven't really figured it out, but this channel has helped me immensely to connect to my work, and to a community of people who care about interpretation, creativity, meaning making, curiosity, narratives, all of that. And I'm still learning, which is maybe the most exciting part, if I'm honest. And I think sometimes in this sector, we are also, you know, it's hard to find work, and we're sometimes in between jobs or in between projects, and sometimes I'm in between projects that I do on my own as a freelancer, and sometimes I might reach a dead end in a project and I don't really know how to move on and get started. But when you have an outlet, a creative outlet, it can actually be an amazing way of keeping yourself in a creative mindset, and also just to get other people's perspectives in can sometimes completely change your own mindset around things, not just professionally in projects, but also maybe your self-confidence about something, because obviously your self-confidence and your professional confidence will go up and down. That's natural. And sometimes you just need that boost. And I think we get that when we share, and when we figure out that we are not alone, and we're sometimes very vulnerable in what we do. But when we share and when we support each other, that's really where the magic happens. So I wanted to end by saying a massive thank you to everyone who's watched and subscribed and liked and commented, or just quietly supported. It's a very little word, thanks, but and I've been trying to find a way of saying it that make you feel like I really mean it, because I really do truly appreciate everyone who's been reaching out or just quietly watching. It means a lot, and it's a way of somehow feeling that you are connected to a wider community of people who care about the same things. So thank you so much. Here's to 5 years. Here's to the next story, the next idea, the next small step forward. Thank you so much for staying with me.